like you should be a talk show interviewer. Your hair,
Yeah.
so just let's have fun. Believe me, it's good.
Yeah, cool. Let's do it. Okay, so hey, good morning, everybody. Paul Carney here. Really excited about the interview today. We have Rob Francis and Joe Vitorino from Planned Companies. Planned is an industry-leading company in janitorial, security, maintenance, all throughout the East Coast and some of the other major markets in the country. And they're also a game changer when it comes to COVID-19 and different strategies that are being implemented in the new future of the workplace. So Rob, Joe, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us. Good morning.
Yeah, welcome. If you guys could just give a little background of Planned. I always like to talk about the Planned difference and what separates you from the competition. Just give us a little background about the company.
So yeah, Planned is a 120-year, 4-generation real estate service company. Like you said, Paul, specializing in janitorial, maintenance, security, and actually front desk concierge. It started with my great-grandfather and then morphed to 4,300 dedicated team members, associates, employees in 11 states. We work in corporate headquarters, multi-tenant commercial buildings, residential buildings, condos, co-ops, multifamily. So really the verticals that would need, professionally trained, professionally screened, empowered teams and workforces that are coming in to provide all these services. And, the Planned difference, so my family came up with Planned because Planned is actually an organized, thoughtful, accountable way of doing business. Like if you fail to plan to fail. So Planned is a way to just make sure that you're doing things in a methodical way, which unfortunately, like during this time, you really do need process and procedure to make sure that when we all, go back to work or on the day-to-day, that you're putting into practice what you're putting on paper. So we've been very fortunate. We've been built on values. So we're very values-based, built on values, huge culture company, passionate about delivering on our service promise. And are really like the 4 legs of a chair. The 4 values of our company have built and sustained a 100+ year organization and growing. And times like this, I think the Planned difference kind of, really shines and resonates with the world.
Yeah, I would completely agree. And, just as I'm looking at your screen right now, I know I have this Washington, D.C. background here, but it's all fake. I'm working from home just like most of the world. I've been home for almost 10 weeks now. And look at you, you're in the office. I see office windows, I see trees. And the majority of your company has been, out in the field, on the front lines. Talk to us a little bit about what your company is doing, what Planned Company is doing right now to keep everybody safe.
So I have to say that this is the kind of the daunting part of it. Like we were deemed essential. I've always known, Paul, and Joe will tell you, I've always known that our workforce is essential. The world is seeing how essential we are. So each and every day in over 1,000 properties in 11 states, our teams are getting up and cleaning, maintaining, securing, and handling the front desk operations for luxury high rises to affordable housing to corporate headquarters that still need some momentum and service delivery at their headquarters. And I have to say, it has been, from a CEO perspective and watching how selfless and the work ethic and the values of our team and the character of our team, we really haven't missed a beat. I think we know that it is our it's our role, our duty, our job to make sure that we're getting up and doing our best to make sure buildings are safe and clean and secure. So I give complete gratitude to the nurses, the doctors, the first responders, absolutely. And I have to say that the janitors, the maintenance, the guards, the concierge are showing just how very essential they've always been. And I think, because I know we spoke earlier, I think one change that might happen is they realize just how very important our teams are. So instead of being like nameless and faceless, it will be like, hey, Rob, hey, Johnny, hey, Sarah, thank you, and, for making our building clean and for doing what you do every day, maintaining this rhythm of a semblance of order that we've been keeping. So I have to say, Paul, from day one, it was, we can't stop doing what we've been doing for the last, 100 years. We have to make sure that we're doing it now with the right PPE, the right measures from the CDC, that we are social distancing, that we are wearing our masks, that we are washing our hands, that we are honoring what it is to keep a healthy and safe workforce delivering for our residents and for our tenants. And I have to say, it's amazing. We've been doing it, from day one.
Yeah, that's, I mean, you nailed it. I feel like on the janitorial side, right? Like from the security standpoint, you always see the security guards. I always love chatting with them. How's it going? I know them by name. That's just kind of what I've always done. It's just my personality.
That's who you are.
Yeah, I love it. But from a janitorial standpoint, it's like you go home at night, you don't really see the janitorial staff, and then you come back the next morning and your office is clean, your workstation is clean, the kitchen is clean, but you never see that. I think one of the biggest changes that we're going to see in the future is I think we're going to see the janitorial staff a lot more during the day. I think people are going to want to visually see that things are getting clean, right, and those strategies are being implemented. And I look forward to those relationships with the janitorial staff at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday or whenever the cleaning shift is for that particular team. So I think that's going to change.
You are so spot on. That visibility and that type of rapport and relationship, and yes, you're going to want to, from perception and reality and transparency, know that things are happening. So you are going to want to know. Your cleaning crew and day cleaning may get a shift. From a technology standpoint, if you guys remember where they used to put on back of some restrooms, last cleaned whenever, you're going to want to know that the disinfecting, the killing of the viruses and the bacterias that are now going to take that shift. So we were very big into the LEED green movement. Green, when you sanitize and you're just cleaning, non-toxic, biodegradable, very, earth, environmentally safe. Now it's disinfect and kill, all the bacteria, the germs, and you're going to want to know when. So we've also been on the forefront, not just with people, that's okay. See, this is where it's home video. It's good. Like, this is the dogs, the kids. It's important.
So work from home integration in action.
With people, we've always been on the forefront. Good in, good out. Can't, teach someone to have a positive attitude. Can't make the Joes and the Paul. You have it in you, but we can decide who's coming in. But to transparently know that things were accomplished, we're getting on the forefront. We bought an IT company years ago and implemented our own time and attendance systems, our own workflow systems, our inspection reports. So you know what you're going to see now, Paul? Health inspections, not just inspections on the actual cleaning of certain areas, but making sure the PPE is there, that we're honoring the CDC guidelines, that we are maintaining a healthy workforce, doing employee wellness verifying checks before they come in, hoping that tenants and residents are self-reporting and doing the things that they need to do. But you're going to also want to, when you go to a restroom or a common area, know when was the last time it was cleaned and disinfected. And those transparent, visible things will bring, I think, peace of mind and get us all confident to come back. So
that's fantastic. Thank you for the breakdown. That's awesome. And Joe, tell us about your role. How long have you been with the company? What have you been up to pre-COVID, and then over the last 8 to 10 weeks working from home with obviously your dog?
Yeah, absolutely. So my role with Plan Company, so I'm the director of Alliance Success. I've been with Plan Companies now for a little over 3 years. So these past few months really just sprinted right through that 3-year mark. Started off doing proposals, actually. So I was with the business development team, helping with all of our business development efforts. And an opportunity came along for me to work with some of our sister affiliate companies and really make sure that we're collaborating and aligned in our business development efforts to be helping each other and going in the same direction. So before this, we were doing a lot of events in terms of collaborative events. We were doing trade shows together. We were hosting educational seminars, just really doing everything we could, most of it being physically together at these events to refer each other leads and help each other close new business. And since then, we've kind of transitioned with COVID. Everything kind of became, all right, we need to help each other navigate through these difficult times, sharing best practices. What are you seeing in your industry? What are you seeing here? How can we help each other on that front? So we've kind of transitioned a little bit with that. But now as things are getting, I don't want to say they're getting back to normal, but we kind of have a better understanding of where we're going from here. So now we're kind of doing both fronts now. So we're realigning all of our business development practices to be going that same direction, but at the same time, making sure that we're at the forefront, sharing best practices, sharing knowledge, putting out guidelines for the industry together, things of that nature. So we really want to be that forefront education for the industry as a whole.
Got it. That's a fantastic breakdown. And Joe, I got a follow-up question to you. I think this is super interesting because over the last 2 to 3 months, there's been so many things like you wear the mask, you don't wear the mask, you have to have sanitizer, you don't have there's just been a lot of changes. So post-COVID, what's one thing that you think will become the new norm following this situation? And I'm not talking over the first couple of weeks. I'm talking call it a year from now. Yeah. Are we still going to be wearing masks? Are we going to have arrows on the floor directing us? Are we going to be one person per elevator? What's your thought? Like what do you think one new norm will be following COVID-19?
So I really, first off, I hope that we're not, required to wear masks still a year from now. Hopefully we're beyond that. But I think it's going to change just the social dynamics of our society. I don't think handshaking and hugging and the typical greetings that we're used to are going to be as prevalent. And I think we're going to transition to a more, whether it's a wave or a bow or something, just kind of something to give a little bit more distance. I know before, everyone is handshake, hug, how are you? And with everything now, it seems like it's just a complete 180. And I think we're going to be somewhere in the middle when this is all done. I don't think we're going to go fully back to the way it was.
That's a really great answer.
I like the hugging.
I was just about to say it, Rob. We connected last week on a Zoom call, and I think we virtual air hugged.
Absolutely, and I'm a hugger. Both of you know. I hope we get back to that, but that might take some time. I agree. I hope masks are not required a year from now. Traffic flow, I think, will continue. I think there will be kind of that flow of ingress, egress, up, down. I think that they'll prove in maybe the suburban markets, and when it gets its flow in larger scale markets, it will continue. I think you may see a shift in how food services, cafeterias, more pickup, takeout, that may continue because it's going to work and have that kind of very easy flow. I think from what we talked about earlier, the visibility and transparency and the way that the janitorial operations, they're not going to be just like some afterthought, but it's going to continue to make sure that the buildings are cleaned in a way that meets a standard. And so I think it elevates my industry and what we stand for. Security as well at the front and the protocols that they have in place. So I think you're going to see kind of that shift, and it's going to remain that those areas are always going to be a primary focus now. And hopefully through time, things will get back, we'll get back on track. A vaccine would help. I think that will get everybody very confident. And then just following the protocols,
Yeah, understood. Another question, and Rob, let's start with you on this one. I love this question because I think it's pretty thought-provoking, and it also touches not just personal but professional. But what is one positive experience from the pandemic that you will look back on and remember, either personally or professionally? What is one positive? There's got to be a positive from this whole.
I'll give a personal one, but because I think I've given the professional one. The professional positive, again, is I think it elevated the industry that I am in and put a light in a nice way on the essential nature of an incredible, dedicated team of janitors and maintenance and security and concierge. And I think that's a positive offshoot to elevate the industry. Personally, I will say that as a father of a 15 and 13-year-old, I've gotten to know Amanda and Jonathan quite well over this time now. I've spent a lot of time where I used to be this mover and shaker, networking, out very late, got a good energy. So, roll back in at 2 o'clock in the morning, get back up, at 6:30, rinse, repeat, whatever. Now I'm spending real, quality time. And I even posted something on LinkedIn about that, now that I'm not running off for business travel or networking, a positive offshoot has been this connection with my family in very formative years. They did the virtual learning and all of that. And so I've spent a lot more time with my family. And I think that business meetings tomorrow, from what we did prior, I think there's a lot of good efficiency and productivity on Zoom, on Teams. And I might not fly off to San Francisco and Atlanta and these other areas as much as I did, as long as I'm being the most efficient and productive me. But it's been very positive to really connect with my family in a good way.
That's amazing. I think you're right. You don't have to hop on a train up to New York, or to DC, vice versa, or fly out. I mean, if you can deliver the right message through a video call, I think that's going to be implemented. Right. Joe, same question. What is one positive that has come out of your experience from this pandemic, either personally or professionally?
So I can give you one of each, actually. So start off with professionally. I think this was kind of a great test for everyone's remote capabilities. So a lot of companies before this or might have been hesitant to offer work from home or anything like that. And I think with this, we were also forced to do it. And for the most part, I mean, I can speak for myself and Rob and Plank Companies. I mean, we're still full system go. So we're still fully operational. And really, aside from seeing each other and the hugging, not much has changed in terms of the productivity. So that's a great positive thing for moving forward, knowing that a lot of industries are able to take advantage of that if they need to. For example, if, kid at home or something like that, stay home, do all your work, and, the productivity is still there. And not to copy Rob, but from a personal standpoint, I got to spend a lot of time with not only my girlfriend, but my dog. So I have a very small dog. You heard him before, just in the puppy stage. So typically before, there wasn't a lot of time in terms of, spending that quality time together. So it's a very noticeable thing how he reacts around us now, having been home with us for 2 months straight. So that's a really positive thing. He's much better, behaved and listening and all that. So that works. Even though
Paul, you're going to speak to Dino, I'm curious how you would, what you would say to that. I'm curious for personally and professionally, what's a positive, for you, though I'm hoping, I think the family part could be yours too, but let me hear for you, because you've got a good and unique situation, I think, in terms of family life with two little ones,
Yeah, totally. Thank you. Let me start with the professional front. So interestingly enough, I started at a brand new company on April 1st, right when this work from home started. I started with Cushman & Wakefield, and I've been there for basically 2 months now, officially, and I have not stepped foot in the office yet. A positive that has come out of that, believe it or not, is, if I walked into the office on day one, I would have made my rounds and I would have said hello and greetings to everybody. I know a lot of the people already personally, but a lot of them I don't. And I would have said hello, nice to meet you, that type of thing. It would have been small talk with a lot of people. Same thing with our Washington, D.C. office. It would have been the same thing. I would have gone to D.C. I work out of Northern Virginia. I would have, made my rounds and said hello, quick little small talk with everybody. I've actually had the opportunity to personally connect one-on-one with basically every broker in Northern Virginia and in DC. These are the people that I'm going to be collaborating with and working with one-on-one, either Zoom calls or phone calls, some of which have lasted upwards of an hour. So the personal connections that I've met with these business relationships with people that I've known for years, and then some of which who I'm meeting for the first time, I think there was a lot more value, and we dug a lot deeper into each other personally and professionally through these conversations that I never would have had the opportunity to do that if I walked into the office on April 1st on day one, because I would have been in, it's time to get to work, right?
Right. And look how you took the initiative to do that. Like you started April 1, you've never been in the office. You easily could have been like, oh, this is so unfair. And I can't, how am I going to start in a productive way? And look what you did. You took the initiative on your own. I'm just saying it from someone who's 22 years in the business and love initiative like that. And you said, I'm going to call and reach out to each and every person and make a connection. And you would never have gotten that up. If this didn't happen and everyone was running at 100 miles an hour, they wouldn't have even some of them would never have made the time for you. So it's good.
Exactly right. They would have been very busy. I would have been, trying to ramp up my business as well. And I appreciate the kind words. And I actually got the idea. I would like to think that I would have come up with this on my own. But interestingly enough, around the same time, Tom Brady, who's now a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, I read an article that he did the same exact thing. He reached out to every single new team member directly. And I thought, man, that's really, really cool. I'm going to do that too. Because the way that I look at my business, I look at it with kind of like a sport mentality too. And, all my new coworkers are my teammates. And so I got to give some props to TB12 and I know you're not a Patriots fan, so I don't know how much love you have.
No, I thought I loved the match. I thought it was, I'm not anti Tom Brady. I mean, look, I'm a Giants fan.
I know.
And Eli, we won 2 Super Bowls off the Patriots. I have no bad blood. And Joe, I think, is a huge Brady fan,
Patriots.
Right? He's
that's
Patriot.
So always Patriots. I don't know if I'm going to stick with him now that he's gone, but we'll see.
I don't know. You'll probably stick with him. There's always going to be a piece of your heart. And Rob, to answer your second question, on a personal level, so I have a 3.5-year-old daughter named Avery and almost 2-year-old named Austin. So it's been a very, very wild ride. My wife works for a fast-growing technology company. She's extremely busy with her work. And, having 2 toddlers at home, to be, completely honest with you, the first month was very challenging. We were almost kind of looking at it as this is hard and this is not what we want to be doing. And I think once it became more a part of our routine that we're transitioning between work and watching our kids back and forth throughout the day, it became part of our normal routine. And the last 6 weeks, I feel like I've enjoyed it a lot more. We just spent an extended we extended our trip down to the beach for Memorial Day by 2 or 3 days. We were having such an amazing time, and just being able to spend a little bit of time disconnected with my kids on the actual beach. 3 and 2-year-old, I mean, it's a playground for them out there. And I think I'll definitely remember those moments with them. And, a year from now, I'm not going to be home on Tuesday at noon watching my kids. They're going to be at school and I'm going to be at work. I think the reality is that we're going to miss the times like this. And I'm glad that we were able to change our mindset the second part of the stay at home compared to the first part, because the first part we were kind of like, what's going on? This is crazy. We have to work, but the kids are going, bouncing off the walls, and we've been able to enjoy the second half of it a lot more.
That's
so
great.
I think that's a positive. I think we grew as a family, and I think our relationships with each other have gotten much stronger.
Awesome. So with this, do we, just out of curiosity on the recording, because I've never done this, it's because it says recording, when we do wrap it up, how do I ensure I don't screw it up? Meaning, do I send it? What do I do?
So it's gonna be a file on the cloud, and you'll just circulate it to me. And by the way, I'll edit this part out.
Yeah, what I'm saying now. Yeah.
Yeah. So either you or Sue will get it, and then you'll flip it to me, and I'll edit it on my end. So I have one more question. You guys have another couple minutes?
Yeah. No, we'll go.
Okay, perfect. So I think this is a good way to end this amazing conversation. Again, thank you for the time. So Rob,
thank you.
10 years from now, when you're talking to your kids about COVID-19 and the 2020 lockdown, what do you think is one thing that's going to stand out in your memory the most?
Wow. That's a great question. Look at that. I mean, and I know I would say that, look, the world, confronted this together, and it really changed it changed just the way we operated, the way our society was flowing. I hope we look back and say, to the extent possible, we all stepped up, we did our part, we got through it, and we became better for it. But you're asking me going into June, where I always try to look at life, Paul, half full. And I do think that we have a marathon and a road ahead of us. But I'd love a decade from now to say that you know, my family got through it in a healthy way. My workforce got through it in a healthy way, our tenants, our residents, and that we became stronger and better as people and a society through it. But that is a very half full way of looking at COVID-19 and the pandemic of 2020. But I will go half full, because I imagine we can look back on a decade and say it taught us how to confront a virus situation in a stronger, clearer, faster, better way. It saved lives eventually. I'm not going to get political on all of it, but we can hopefully say that we learned a lot and got better as a society for it.
It's amazing. Perfect answer. Spot on. Joe, I feel really bad that you have to follow that up with the same question.
Joe and I are a tag team. He's going to be fine.
I'm going to piggyback off it a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, 10 years from now, I think, first and foremost, I think we're going to look back on 2020 and not even just COVID. I think this year has just been such a crazy start to this new decade. Just like January, something crazy happened, February, then of course COVID, and who knows, I mean, hope God, you know, knock on wood, hopefully nothing crazy continues to happen for the rest of the year. But I want to say that, you know, we definitely, as a society, we learned a lot. We were faced with these, you know, existential crises, and we learned that urgency was needed, and we made the right choices to really adapt and set ourselves up for a more prosperous future. And I think one positive thing is, you know, take away all the negative news articles and all that, you do have a lot of countries who typically wouldn't work together, working together to solve such a big crisis like this. And I think that that's a good kind of benchmark for moving forward. We need to put, like, you know, all of our differences aside and really come together to be better as a whole. So I think that that's something. I think that, you know, we are in for, you know, unfortunately some more hurt before it gets fully better, but I think we will be better off from this 10 years from now.
Yeah. I think you both totally nailed it. I mean, typically in an election year, you see the divide, right? You're either on one side or the other. And I feel like in this situation, I'm just seeing a lot of positivity. I'm seeing a lot of people coming together, following the rules, doing what's best for society, doing what's best for themselves, their family, their community, by following these rules and actually staying home. You know, early on, I thought this was going to be a situation where people would stay home for a couple of weeks and then people would be not following, you know, the procedures. But, you know, to my surprise and delight, I think a lot more people are looking at it half full, like you said, Rob, and I think as a society, we're going to be better for it. So
I hope so. I really
fantastic
do.
Answers.
It's definitely a road ahead.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's an election year. So that adds a little bit to the whole equation as well. But
it totally
I hope it brings out more good in the best of us than the alternative. And I think you have three people on the call here, on the Zoom here, that have a positive kind of outlook on things, which is very healthy and good. And I think that's another big aspect too, is just doing things during this time that keep you mentally and physically healthy. And I hope we all look back on it and say that we became stronger for it in some way. So
absolutely,
I love that. And Rob, three glasses half full is one glass overflowing. So
look at that.
I like that.
I just came up with it.
I like that.
Anyway, Rob and Joe.
Paul's a planner. I'm telling you. It's good.
Exactly. Rob and Joe, thank you so much for the time. This was a fantastic conversation.
Awesome.
We should do this again once we're back in the offices and talk about best practices and strategies. Appreciate both of your time.
I
We'll definitely
love
do
it.
this again soon.
Thank you for
Thanks
doing
so much for having us.
and for having us on. And I have to say, it's a great thing that you're doing. Like, if you are conducting these type of podcasts, interviews, whatever, it makes a difference for people. It really does. Like, so it's cool that you're doing it. You've always been kind of a trendsetter. Like, Paul was doing these videos on LinkedIn before anyone really was embracing the system. Like, they were really out of the box, engaging, kind of like radio addresses, you know, like with your team, and you've never stopped. It's great in your own way. So keep your platform going. I'm proud of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So
much.
I'll
appreciate
get
that.
this to you. And this was great.
Yeah. Perfect. Guys, I really appreciate this. This was so much fun, very informative. I can't wait to promote Planned on the social media platform. So let's keep the dialogue open, and I hope you both have an awesome rest of your day.
Yep.
You as
Have
well,
a great
man. Thanks
week.
a lot, and great to meet you.
Paul, Joe, great to see you. I'll see you guys.
well,
Thank you.
Take
Bye,
care.
guys. We'll talk
Bye.
soon. Bye,
Got
guys.
it. Bye. Bye.